Welcome back to Cheche, the program where opinion counts. We're exploring what went wrong with the party primaries, with representatives from ODM, Franklin Bett, and we've been hoping for Onyango Olo from TNA, who confirmed that he would be on the show this morning, but is not here. So we want to focus on the implications of the nominations on the March 4th general elections, because President Kibaki has asked for level-headedness. He's assured all of us of a peaceful poll. He says that the country is not on fire. And to be fair, as you have said, the nominations went well in the majority of the counties. We had pockets of violence, and just pockets of violence they were. But do you accept that your handling of the nominations has raised concerns about how the general election will go?
Yes and no. Yes, because take for example in Luanyansa or in Central Province for TNA, the nomination process is actually saying fait accompli, more or less, in the final tally on March 4th. And that is why you saw the energy, the pressure of the various candidates to try to find themselves on the nomination certificate. So it is for that reason that you found people, the greatest agitation, if you look at it, is in Luanyansa and for ODM, and in the Central Province for TNA. Now, no on the other side, in the sense that it may really affect the result, but each party, I am sure, is planning to mend fences. Each party would be planning to do some recapping of what had happened, and eventually that would dissipate into a reduction in the anger which could have been created in the people. And I want to believe that people should really appreciate the Kiswahili version when things are all in order. What I would say in Latin or something, ceteris paribus, all things being equal. They should accept the Kiswahili saying of asiyekubali kushindwa si mshindani. Now that presupposes that everything is level for you to say that. But you see, in places where we had problems, that was not the case, because at the end of the day, we did not get the full results. We got scattered results up and down. So that would really impact at the final vote either way.
Okay, I actually want your opinion, Mutegi, because we have a viewer saying here, I'm a strong ODM supporter, but the way Midiwo and Nyong'o were given certificates, we will vote Uhuru. So in the case of ODM, it sounds as if some serious, well, maybe not serious, but there seems to be a chink in the armor, which will send a lot of their voters away just because of the perception of cronyism. Would you agree with that?
That normally happens. If parties nominate, like that direct nomination, people who are unpopular, obviously, one of the reasons why parties decided to do it last minute is because they don't want people to jump from one party to another, which they did anyway. Yes. So it was counterproductive. So what will happen is that the unpopular person who was nominated by either ODM or TNA, and the popular person jumped to another party, the popular person will be elected, and then popular ODM or TNA person will lose. And that happens. That's why you normally find about 50%, 60% of former MPs or those people who are nominated because of tribalism or cronyism or whatever reason, who are not popular, they lose. And they're going to lose.
How would you explain then the fact that the other parties that are seen to be smaller, say not Kenya, Martha Karua's party, seem to have their act together? You didn't really hear about chaos. They were able to meet the deadline to submit their nominations, and yet, you know, the major parties seem to be struggling to get their act together.
That's a very good observation. But take note, they are only dealing with a pocket of polling stations, compared to ODM, which had its act across the country. Like I was saying earlier on, we had to deliver our ballot papers 2 days before to Turgana. Now, you need to ask, was NAC there? And the answer would be, they were not there. So they were only concentrating in a small area. And that small area is manageable, as opposed to me going all the way to Lunga with my ballot papers, going all the way to Logichar, or name the place, or all the way to Moyale. But we reached there on time. So the issue is the spread of your support would determine how you perform. I would dare say that the spread for the smaller parties is not much. And at the same time also, these smaller parties were waiting for dropouts from the other parties and collecting it from under the table. It's just like you are eating.
I'm not sure whether they're waiting, because I think many of them that tip, they sold that
maybe
to your people. Yes. Those who lost, they went to tip, or they had already got that certificate anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also think that they receive nomination. They always receive nomination from a smaller party and hold it in their pockets.
Yes.
That is what I used to see before.
Because they don't trust that the bigger guys will hold free and fair polls. They don't trust that the competition will be level. Yeah, and so you have people questioning the commitment to democracy. They, in response to my earlier question about how the elections will proceed from here, they say the elections will be better because the IEBC will be handling them. But on the party level, there is no trust in you.
I'll go back again, to what I said earlier. I think we as a country need to find an avenue for sorting out primaries, because every election we are in problems on primaries. And I think it is needful that we address either individually as parties, and then we come together and then discuss the same with the mainstream. But
you see,
of
the main players, the main presidential candidate, the main players do not want that. There is the old Kanu attitude. If you have an organized system, you will not have a way of putting your cronies there. Mm. And I think that's how people like Anyang Nyong ended up in the ballot.
Me, I would advise, if you are unhappy with a candidate of governor, if you are unhappy with a candidate of senator, express it at the ballot box. And don't vent it on the presidential candidate. What am I saying? Be angry with that particular individual, but don't be angry with everybody, to the extent that you say, we will show Raila Odinga this, we will show Uhuru Kenyatta this. Just vent it on that person and say, we had said at the primaries, we do not want you. Actualize your position at this ballot by turning up and voting. It is very important that IEBC, which will be more independent, will be more spread, more organized because of their experience and because of capacity that has been given to it by government. Express your view there.
All right, this is from Malaka in Nairobi. Bett should be congratulated for his soberness and firmness for navigating ODM through turbulent nominations. Nobody else in the party could have achieved what he's done. ODM supporters owe him an apology. But a question from Ken in Nairobi. Hello, Mr. Chair. We elected Kajwang in Kasarani. Where is Ongoro coming from? That's what you people did to Mudavadi. Another similar sentiments, ODM has shown the criteria they used to rig the election in 2007 by giving more votes to the favored candidate. Surely, how can they deny Oduor a certificate for CIA? And because Uburu was defeated, it was rigged. And when it came to the public, they were all cancelled. We know the truth. And then this, please, without Oduor for CIA, then we're going to vote for TNA candidates, including Uhuru Kenyatta. Enough is enough, and we're tired of Odingism and its successors.
That is, according to me, being not allowing, being emotional.
Emotional in what sense?
That's why I'm saying.
Taken the trouble
that's why I'm
to
saying,
wake up early in the morning, queue up in the sun to choose their preferred candidate. And for various reasons, some of them backroom deals, some of them because, as this other candidate says, you're fielding because you want to field a Kikuyu candidate, you're denying somebody else their nomination. People's choice is invalidated.
But really, we are the ones who are saying, let us incorporate all the tribes of this country into the management of issues or into taking away from a cake. Now, and then we come back again and we want to attack it. I mean, according to me,
well,
that is inconsistent.
You should have sorted this out beforehand.
To me as a person.
You should have sorted all of this. No, you should have sorted all of this out beforehand. You should have known that Bishop Wanjiru was not qualified to run for the governor's seat. You should have spoken to her beforehand instead of going and then withdrawing the nomination from Ms. Ongoro and giving it to Bishop Wanjiru. A lot of these things have been averted
I want to assure you completely. Those discussions you are saying should have been undertaken were undertaken. The only problem, which I've seen it for all these years I've been in management of politics, is that when a politician has seen a crowd here, the same thing applies to Mutegi today if he goes out into politics. When he sees a crowd here all shouting for him, it is difficult for that person to say, I'm owning up. It's only the likes of Oburu whom I admire, and even myself, I said I was not going to contest, but I know there are people who kept quarreling while I was taking off. So let me come back to the issue of we are not going to vote in as follows. Let us say I am annoyed with a kid in my house. I would have to discipline that child and that child alone. I should not end up going to the extent of even disciplining the mother.
But probably the mother is the problem.
Is the problem. And
if the mother is the problem, causing the problem with the child, you punish the mother.
Yes, and that's what Bernard Kisumu says. You should not tell us to express anger to the individual nominees and not the Prime Minister. Tell him Raila is going nowhere, since if you want to kill a snake, you hit the head and not the tail.
I will allow that person to take his view.
You see, traditionally, Luo Nyanza was, there was that thing called Ondingaism idea. The old Mzee, before he died, he would call a person on the road and say, I have greeted so and so. When that person is greeted, it's a signal that that is the preferred candidate. That seems to be now winning. That Ondingaism, that's why you hear people shouting in Kisumu.
I'm happy to hear that because I know
like
it's very interesting to listen to that.
It is.
I didn't know about it.
That's why the sister and the brother and the whoever, all those relatives are having difficulties. Just the same way Moi is amended. Moi, last elections, he had, I think, 3 or 4 sons running for elections. None of them got it.
But you know they were doing it when Moi was already out.
Well, he was out.
Yes.
But these ones, they are seeing it, they are seeing the noise when Raila is being president.
But I'm happy they had the noise and they gave way.
It looks like they are not, because if Raila has had the noise, why is it that he went ahead and caused the nomination of other people who are not popular, like Jacomo Midiwo and Anyang' Nyong'o?
I must say, by the way, the game issue was brought before the appeals board, and it was listened to. And that is why I also extended the period of the appeals board to listen to the issue about game constituency. And they brought back to me a verdict that we have looked at the evidence which was brought before us, and we are persuaded that that Chakoyo Midiwo was not at fault.
Okay.
I think that may be diplomatic.
Mutegi, but we are also within the media taking some flack. To some extent, the media blew the situation in Nyanza out of proportion. But you'll be happy to know
that... That's what the Prime Minister say.
Yeah, well, you'll be happy to know, though, that where you're losing support, where ODM is losing support in Nyanza, it's picking up support in central Kenya. This from Wangi. We are voting for ODM and Raila because here in Nyeri, figures were being cooked at the headquarters. So you're clearly facing similar issues and might...
it's a human reaction.
Right.
I must say it's a human reaction. But I want people... I've always stressed, let us be sober when dealing with problems. Because there are 2 issues here. There is the issue of problem solving and conflict resolution. I take problem solving to be a lower level of conflict resolution. So once in a while, in the past, I saw in the news that somebody was killing a cockroach and was using a sledgehammer. So that should be the situation.
Okay.
You talked about financing of the nominations of the primaries. You charging a lot of money to candidates who want to run for various positions. And that's a lot of money. In fact, some people think it's prohibitive, that a poor person may not run because they cannot afford the fees.
I'll tell you, that money, which is a nomination fees, is intended to be used to manage that primary.
Yes.
I'll tell you, if you are to look into it, you will need a minimum of 2 clerks per polling station. You will require a presiding officer. You will require, at the very top for all several polling stations, you will require a returning officer. All these people are costing the parties money. Then you will require security, which we also hire for every polling station. Then you will require the various materials that are required for the exercise to continue. That alone, if you look at it, is going to be an enormous amount of money. We worked it out ourselves, and it was coming to almost 400 million to manage the whole thing across the country.
Okay.
And how much did you raise in terms of nomination
much
fees?
lower than 200 million.
So how did you...
Much lower than 200 million, and you are required to spend all that. And we are also putting a contingency amount for purposes of repeat elections.
Right. We have
now, whatever balance is left would then go to the main campaign for the party.
Right. We have to take a break now. Our guest this morning is Franklin Bett, the chairman of the ODM National Election Board. We should have had TNA represented here, but they're not answering their phone calls. When we return, we will explore the implications of how the parties manage their nominations on how they would, on governance, really. I think that's the point we will be exploring when we come back.